Good morning.
Morning.
Ugh. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm not used to it still being dark out. Like it's 6:30 here and it's still dark outside.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is just like this time change is still throwing me for a loop.
Man, it's been like a month.
I know. I'm working on it. Cause it looks like the sun's out. Well, it looks maybe it's like gloomy where you are, but
I mean, sun is out.
yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know. But all right, so today on the agenda, we've got um what are we talking about? We're talking about you're supposed to take over, Christina.
Oh, sorry. We were gonna talk about how we've shown up for ourselves in the seasons and times where we felt like it was going unnoticed. We didn't know what the payoff would be or wouldn't be, how things would pan out, and like fast forward to like those life moments where we had those realizations of it's like, wow, the woman that I chose to be has now made it possible for me to experience this. And I think for me, the reason why it's been like front on my mind, I would say specifically from a work front, is I have been showing up for years now, trying to come from a place of learning and to serve and help people and to add value and to give. And I found like even more so in order to be that, I have to give that to myself and pour that into me. But now it's leading to, executives reaching out for me for coaching in like a company where I'm working in a capacity that has nothing to do with that. That's a big deal. Like that doesn't just happen, right? For someone to see past a title or a version of you and want your insight and like word for word I've been saying we want to glean from your thought process. That's huge. And I don't say that in a bragging way because I feel really humbled by this because I struggled in school. Like I had testing anxiety. Like I am not, I was homeschooled like for most of it. Like I don't view myself as someone who's like, oh, this esteemed thought person. Um, but I've worked really hard to invest in learning about people and how our brains work and how like neuroscience and psychology paired with business is like a recipe for success. And because right now we're so infatuated with technology, we're losing that people piece a lot, right? And for me, I've applied it to my own life. And I think that's like what I'm finding is when we're in the moments, and it doesn't have to even be related to work, but maybe we're even coming through like just out of pure survival, even like I need to invest in myself. I want to choose to show up as this type of woman and handle this situation in this way, just because that's who I want to be, even though it's harder. Um, it will pay off. And I didn't do it for these reasons, but now I'm in this like season where I'm like, this is amazing. Like I could never create. I never would have been able to lead myself to this moment, you know? And it's just the beauty of our own journey and how powerful we are as women. And so many times we get caught up on like the goal or the achievement out of maybe pure need. And for me, it's that realization of like, it really starts here with us. And it doesn't feel tangible sometimes in those moments of like, what is this even doing? But you are becoming a whole ass woman who is going to be able to carry a vision way bigger than you ever imagined for yourself outside of your immediate need or thing you were trying to achieve.
And
And it's just like wild to experience.
it's wild to experience the fruit of your own labor, if
Yes.
you will. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
like a terrible term or what, but it's wild, it's exciting, it's humbling, and it also, I would say, like, it's proving to yourself
Yeah.
that what you chose to do, what you've been through, how you've been through it was right. So it teaches you to further um rely on your own mind and your own
Yeah.
intuition, because nobody told you this. Nobody told you that this is how you're supposed to, live your life, and these are the
Yeah.
decisions you're supposed to make. And now here you are reaping the benefits of living your life and doing what you were felt called to do, or what you felt was right for just yourself. And how exciting is it that it's now not just paying off for yourself,
Hmm.
but it's paying off for your circle, for the people that are
Yeah.
touching you, for those that are around you are seeing that. And that is something that I think is really exciting, because when you're making these decisions, at least in my life, when I chose to show up as a person that I wasn't, I was learning to become who that
Yeah.
person is. And I chose to show up simply because I had seen the effects of what I had been through on people that I loved and cared about, when they had something that happened in their own life that was similar.
Hmm.
And I did not want to become like they had.
Yeah.
I chose to show up for myself because I didn't want to be angry. I didn't want to be bitter.
Yeah.
I didn't want this to define my life. I did
Yeah.
not want to be that person. And so I consciously started showing up and making the decisions to invest in my life, simply
Hmm.
because I knew what I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
And so it's so exciting now when I'm faced with a situation at work, even something totally unrelated to what I went through or my personal life. But I'm faced with a situation at work, and I'm able to respond with grace, and I'm
Yeah.
able to show love to strangers or to people that I, would normally have just brushed off. And it's exciting because it's the work that I put in to become like that.
Yeah. You just like said something that I like really resonate with, and that is like the examples of what you didn't want to become is what guided you into who you did want to become. And I remember that feeling when I went through my divorce, and I was so lost and I was broken and I was sad and I just felt damaged. And I looked at the examples of all the women around me who I had known who gone through divorce, and I was realized that they were 20, 30 plus years into like after divorce,
Post divorce.
and they were still there. And for me, that was the thing that very quickly put like kicked me in the butt to say, I don't want to still be sad 20
Mm-hmm.
years from now. I don't
You don't
want to
want to
still
still
feel
be
broken.
blaming somebody else for everything that
No.
happened wrong in your life
Or
20
even
years later.
myself. I don't want to feel like I'm a failure or I should have tried. Like, I was like, I don't know how, but I'm going to figure out until I figure it out how to show up as someone who is still going to see the beauty in life, the beauty in others, someone who still loves and can be loved, someone who still just values relationship, like someone as if this thing can actually happen. And I hate the saying, like, be better for it, but really, like, I was like, I'm gonna figure out, like, this will not be my story. That, like, that was the thing I had in my head. This will not be how my story ends. Absolutely not. And it's crazy how that you start making those radical acts of self-love, right? You start investing and pouring love into yourself. You start getting to the point where you can actually hope and dream for your future again, right? Like, all of these things start happening, and that's like the piece that in life, relationships, and business, I wish we invested in more, is that, like, and it's hard to see, right? So I feel like it's intangible, but like how you choose to invest in yourself every day and who you choose to show up and be is going to, I say all the time, pave the way for how your life goes. And it's a lot less of figuring out what it is and what direction you're going in. And it's a lot more the who you are to get to the next step. Because I never would have ever thought for myself that I would be partnering with executives and senior leadership in companies to help them with XYZ. That in my brain still does not compute. It does not feel like the me that I know. It is not anything that I was like wanted. It happened, and it's happening. And it's what God has for how I'm supposed to serve in this season, is how I view it. That's the only way I can explain it, right? So I didn't have like a goal to get here or to build this type of business. And I worked hard and I achieved it and it paid off. Like, for me, I feel like not even that smart. For me, it was survival of, I've got to figure this out. And my divorce was that turning point for me of learning how to become, learning how to expand and live and serve and love beyond just the small box of me that I knew and was comfortable in.
Well,
And
and you
go
said
on.
something, you touched on something that I think is um worth like spending a little bit more time on, and that is that your goal wasn't a job, wasn't these accolades, wasn't this reverence by these CEOs and these high powered execs. That wasn't your goal. Your goal wasn't to, get to this position. That wasn't it at all. Your goal was to not be any type of way. Your goal was to invest in yourself. Your goal was to actually work to make Christina a person who is capable of loving and being loved. Your goal was to not be a certain way. And in investing in yourself and in your goal, in your heart, in your mind, in investing in those areas led you to the doors that are being opened for you now. And so it shows that, like, goals of merit shouldn't necessarily be what drives you to become the person that you need to become.
Yeah.
Because it's all about what's in here. It's all about what's in here. It's how you choose to act and speak, and how you choose to grow from a situation where you don't think there can be anything.
Yeah.
And I think that for people who don't realize, if we haven't necessarily each told our own stories, what's so exciting is that Christina and I went through very similar situations, although very unique and different, because no situation is exactly the same, but very similar situations that we went through, and we chose to handle it in very similar ways. And that's
Mhm.
how we can sit here and say this is the way to go, because we can look back on our own lives and realize that what we chose, how we chose to handle, has made us better people, because
Mhm.
we chose to do the thing that is not necessarily easy and doesn't come naturally, and that is invest in ourselves at a time when we were beat down and had nothing even to give to ourselves. And as people, we tend to, even when we're doing well, put ourselves on the back burner for
Mhm.
investing in who we are. And that was some of the demons that I faced, and I think that you did as well, where we chose to put ourselves on the front burner, and we chose to walk through some of the things that are not, you don't want to look through where you failed. You don't want to face your demons of, regret, and
Mhm.
you don't want to have to admit that your life didn't work out right. But and by saying that, it's just not the vision that you had in your mind.
Mhm.
And so we both, at different times and different states, and not even in connection with each other at the same time,
Mhm.
which is what I think is
Mhm.
so cool about this story, is that we both did very similar things, and we chose to walk through, um, throw out the vision that we thought our lives would be, starting
Mhm.
there. And we chose to deal with the insecurities of that our brain created in our own minds, that are sometimes based off of truth, but oftentimes just based off of delusion. And we chose to really walk through times that are lonely and unglamorous, because we didn't want to be defined
Mhm.
by decisions that we didn't make.
Yeah. And I think, like, for me, what really switched things was changing up the conversations I was having with God, and switch them from heal me, make me whole, help me like know how to be in this season, to God, help me become the woman that you can trust with something important. Like, I wanted a mission or like a purpose or like a reason for my life again, and it was more about like, God, help me be the woman that you created me to be. Like, help me to see me through your eyes. Like, help me to understand, like, how you are going to use this to be something positive in my life. And when I switched like the conversations I was having with God, it really shifted my posture of like, yes, I'm focused on pouring and investing into myself, but sometimes a big way of doing that is showing up for others so you can see who you can be. And sometimes I think we get it twisted because we feel like, oh, this is my season, me, like I'm loving myself, like pouring into me, like everyone else is dead to me right now, like, like that extreme. And for me, part of like my healing was to be able to be like, I didn't want to lose the giver that I am. I love to give. I love to do things for people. I love to love on people. That, like, so part of the reason why I was stuck is because I felt like oh, that piece of me got taken advantage of, so I'm never going to be taken advantage of again. I have this
Mm-hmm.
wall up, like I have boundaries now. I am that girl, right? Like I am strong and independent. And I was in that phase for a while. And then I realized where I was like, God was showing me like, no, he actually created me to be that.
Mm-hmm.
And just because it was taken advantage of, just because it didn't seem to work for me in a season and it really hurt me and it really made my life hard, doesn't mean that I'm not meant to still show up as her.
It's
And
like
go for it.
just God heals that version of yourself. And that is another like huge victory that you can now probably look back and see in your life, that you're so thankful that you made the decisions that you did, because
Yeah.
Christina 2026, you know, is reaping the benefits of the healing and the decisions that you chose
Like eight
years
years ago
ago,
or whatever.
you
Like it's
know?
not like a blip. Like this wasn't last
Right.
year. You know, it's
Right.
taken time.
And that's what's so exciting, is that the who when you know who you were created to be, you
Hmm.
know, and you choose to live in that power, that's when you are unstoppable. When
Yeah.
you choose to not let how other people mistreated you or took advantage of you or didn't appreciate you, and you decide that this is still who I am.
Hmm.
I am a lover. I am a truster.
Hmm.
I am someone who is always looking for the best in
Hmm.
a person and a situation. Like, well, you know, we don't know. Maybe this is what's going on, or we
Yeah.
don't really know what's going on in their life. So
Yeah.
let's not just like
Yeah.
get really mad at them. And you know, you can, to your point, I think that's so great that like you're a giver and you allowed God to heal that version of what is you, so that you can still walk in that purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just wild. Like how it all works together.
And it's
And
and it's so exciting. I gotta stop saying that because this isn't really exciting. But and it's
well, when you're like over the hill, it is a little exciting
it is
to
exciting,
like
right?
look
But
back
when
and
you're
like,
in the hard times, it's not exciting at all. And I don't want to gloss over that, because if you are in the difficult times of making these choices to live for your future, because sometimes it's not enough to sometimes you can't live for your present.
yeah.
Sometimes the weight of what you're going through is so much that you can't even imagine living for your present. And so what I like to remind people of, something that like really helped me, is to just hold on to one thing. And it can be fluid throughout the day. It can be the same exact thing for 2 months on end. It doesn't matter, whatever it takes. Hold on to something to get you through. You need an anchor. And if that anchor is simply, you know, your dog, if that anchor is it's the anchor is noticing something to be thankful for every day, something that you
Mhm.
are grateful for, something that you are so happy that is in your life. And for someone like me, it is sometimes just waking up and seeing the sunshine and a flower, and
Mhm.
that anchor was enough to continue each day moving forward. And some
Mhm.
days it was, you know, the anchor that I have, you know, the most perfect yellow lab in all of the world. And so holding on to something and finding that something in every part of your day will help to get you through to live for your future, because sometimes you can't live for your present. So
Yeah.
to live for your future and to know that it will pay off eventually. At the time that I was going through it, I had no confidence that I was even doing the right thing, except for I knew in my heart of hearts that I was. But I had no one telling me, like, just keep going, because someday you are going to be so thankful that you went through this. Not necessarily the situation, but that I went through the way that I chose to heal and handle.
Yeah.
And, yeah, keep going. Find something every day to hold on to. And then someday you're going to wake up and you're going to be able to look back and see how far you've come. And that in itself is extremely exhilarating. And then when you start seeing, to Christina's point, how you showed up for yourself and the decisions that you made are now paying off in your life now, it feels like success. That is exciting.
That is, and that's the real like success and level up, is like you feel it, you don't just look it. And what I find we are all guilty of, no matter who you are, you're a human, you're guilty of it, is the need and desire for control. And especially when we go through major life stuff where we feel like it's stuff has been, everything's outside of our control, right? Like I think there's a powerful piece of that where grab onto what's within your control. Like I think that is important to anchor you. But like from more of like a broader scope is we want to have a goal so we can control our next steps, so we can control what our outcome's going to be, so we control what our life's going to look like, because that feels secure and safe. And we mask it as being a good steward of our lives or whatever. But it's really like, if we're honest with ourselves, a lack of trust in God. It just is. Like, you can't slice it any other way, or whatever. Like, it's basically saying, if I don't do it, it won't happen. And what we risk then is, what if it does happen? And then you realize it doesn't make you happy, or it's not sustainable, or it's not you, or it's not, because it's never going to be what we think it's going to be, right? Because life's going to be hard regardless. And so I think for me, the thing that I keep trying to carry with me day in and day out is I will control how I show up. I will not try to show up in a certain way to get certain outcome. And that has allowed me to show up in rooms and in relationships to give and to serve, and I get to be myself, and I get to have fun with it. I'm not trying to be anything but the best version of me that I can be in those moments. And then I let it go. And we get so worried about boundaries and getting taken advantage of. But I really believe that the ecosystem we were created to live in was if more people would show up as their authentic self and just giving and serving and loving. That same room that you're doing it in, somebody's going to be also doing it in, and it's going to give back to you. And it may seem like, oh, too good to be true because I'm surrounded by a whole bunch of assholes. Well, okay, maybe. But are you accidentally being one of those assholes?
Are you being
because your guard's so up? Like, I know I have been. Not an asshole, like, mean to people, but, like, it was about me and where I needed to go and my peace and my boundaries, and to the point where I wasn't fostering connection in my life. And you're not going to get anything you want, really, in life at the end of the day that way, other than maybe a title, some money, or
connection. We need connection as humans. That's another thing that I don't care who you are as a human, you need connection.
You need connection.
And that is how we flourish. And that is how, as you're saying, working in our gifts really works.
Yeah.
Because when you try to, sometimes you do things because you have to,
Yeah.
But if you just relinquish the control of, let's say, being in charge, if that's not your gift, and let it flow to the person whose gift it is, you might be way more organized in the grand scheme of things, because
Mm-hmm.
as a whole, you let the person who's better at admin do the admin.
Mm-hmm. And you think about, I saw a video earlier about nobody has on their tombstone like how much money they ended up making or the title that they had or the thing that they did. What gets put on your tombstone is the person you were, caring, giving, lover, like maybe daughter, like like what, like maybe some of those titles, but like if you really think about like what
Well, you have
matters
no control
most.
if you were a daughter. So,
Well, yeah, that's true.
like,
But like if you really think about like what matters most at the end of the day, it's not all the other stuff. You realize that's just my ego. That is pure ego. Wanting to be in anything outside of my gifting, that's all it is. And
mm-hmm.
then that's like my responsibility to manage that ego because I am putting certain things have higher value or are more important than others. And because I'm doing that, I'm making the assumption that everyone else views it that way as well. And I want people to view me up here, and I'm viewing my gifting here from a value standpoint, and it's all made up. And we don't realize like we've made up this made up thing, and the majority of people aren't even looking at it the way we're looking at it. Like it's not even about any of that. And then we're missing out on our magic. We're missing out on the amazing life experience God wanted us to have, the amazing way that we can give and care for others and we can be given and cared for. Like it's and it's all really like a trap and a lie that I see like a lot of people get caught up in. It's that like comparison game.
Well, it's kind of like, what you're gonna feel like that because you deem, because somebody probably told you at one point that your gift is less than somebody
Yeah,
else's.
that is the
Really?
dumbest thing
It's
ever.
your gift. It's
Yeah.
your, like, it's what you are good at
Yeah.
naturally through, I'm sure that you've, like, done things to make it better, but, like, you're gonna allow, like, some, like, unspoken, like, hierarchy dictate where you are in the grand scheme of things. We have to stop looking at things like a pyramid and
Yeah.
start looking at things like an ocean. Start
Yes.
looking at things like a surface, like a flat area, And sometimes, you know, we're all right next to each other right here, and sometimes we're spread out a little bit more, but
Hmm.
it's not this.
No.
It's not, because that is us downplaying our own gifts, and that is us allowing ourselves to look down on someone else because of their gifts, and
Well, and it's a
don't be
slap
that
in the,
person.
yeah. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, that was it.
It's also a slap in the face to God because it's saying like I don't want it's being a bratty kid. I don't like the gift you gave me.
Mm-hmm.
Give me her gift. Give me his gift. Give me something else. Like I want something but like seriously? Like who do we think we are, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
I I guess it's a sense that, and you and I have talked a lot about this, just like in our business, right? Because like I have tried not like in the past to partner with other people, and this has been like a pain point for me, right? Of like comparison games happening and like competing, and I was like, I can't do this type of partnership, and that's why this has been so great. And like I think this is something we've been really intentional just from a business building standpoint to make sure you and I are really solid and clear on and aligned on is like how powerful our individual giftings are, where our areas of magic are, where we need to show up. And we can still grow and expand and not saying that's like the forever vision, but like being really step in step. And I think it's like if we could just do this more, we would get so much farther. like, just not even how much you help people, but even in your personal life, you'll feel so great, because we only want to do the things that God is giving us the grace and mercy to actually do and see through. Because I'll take a step back, like the areas where God has positioned me in leadership, that's a heavy weight to carry. When you are actually doing it to serve others and as a selfless act and to show up as a strong leader, it's a lot. It's not what I would choose. It's not like the easy way out. And I see like a lot of people who reach out because they want support and how do I get there, or how do I become a leader? And I'm not trying to discourage anyone from leadership because it's needed, but it's like you got to make sure that's where you're supposed to be. Because if I don't have the covering and the grace and the mercy and what I need to carry that position, I'm gonna drown in it. I'm gonna burn out. Because that's happened to me several times. Because I wasn't operating in the place that I needed to be in that season. And so for us, it's like back full circle moment of we've got to worry. It starts with us. It starts with the woman we are, how we're investing in her, how we're showing up day in and day out without tied to a specific goal necessarily in mind. Because when we do that, then we will have the strength and be positioned for wherever we're meant to be in whatever season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was going to add on to when you were talking about leadership and saying, make sure that they know that that's what they're supposed to be doing. Actually, what are you supposed to be doing, and work on that.
Yeah.
Work on you. Have those clear, defined goals of who you are supposed to be, and the rest will fall into place. If you're supposed 100%. To be in leadership, it's going to work out. If you're supposed to be helping people through difficult situations, it's going to work out. If you're supposed to be in hospitality and making sure the back end is it's going to work out. But what you need to do, right back, full circle. I know it probably seems like we all went on tangents over here, because that's what we do. We continue to have epiphany after epiphany after epiphany. It's just who we are. But full circle, where you basically need to figure out what you have to work on. You don't necessarily know what like the end goal is. And be you. Be true to you. Maybe you're just not, maybe you have a clear desire to not be something. So start working to not be that and see what doors open up.
Yeah. That's such a good point, Julie, because until you are able to lead yourself well, you will never be able to lead anything well. Any dream, any vision, anything. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes when we feel like, gosh, I'm trying everything, why isn't it working out? That's the mirror of, let me just take a step back and worry about how I'm leading myself today. Right. Let me not worry about that.
Because maybe what you're trying to do is control a situation.
An outcome.
And really what you need to be doing is controlling yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I have to
there go. There we go. I love
sadly. It. Love you guys. Have a great day.
Love ya. Bye.
Bye.